Do you agree with Draymond's comments or with Katie's trade?
Are those Google employees, Tesla employees, Apple employees? Are they at-will employees or are they under contract? Because the
Yeah.
one thing that he forgot to mention in all of this is that Kevin Durant still has 4 years remaining on the contract extension that he signed with the Brooklyn Nets last offseason. I cannot imagine any non-sports entity, any sort of company like the ones that Draymond had mentioned, letting an employee that signed up for something, if they were contractually obligated to that company and said, I want to go do something else, and facilitating their exit at the cost of the company itself to make that person happy so they can go do a job with another company elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like, I get what Draymond is saying. Player empowerment in the NBA is a good thing. And I said it last week on this show that Kevin Durant should be applauded in a way for saying, this is a toxic situation.
Yeah.
This is something that I can't help get any further. Like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Clearly, he sees the writing on the wall that he cannot win a championship with the Brooklyn Nets. So he said, you know what? I'm going to take that gamble and go ask for a trade out of here because I'm Kevin Durant, as we've heard him say a million times, and he has the leverage and the power to do that. But to what Draymond was saying, he just left out the biggest elephant. There's the biggest elephant in the room here is the fact that he didn't mention that Kevin Durant has all of this time remaining on his contract, his obligation to the team that he signed the extension with last year. So by that logic, I don't really think it makes a whole ton of sense. It seems like kind of an empty argument.
Absolutely. What about you, Wendy?
Yeah, I mean, I think Draymond doing these podcasts is really a gift to fans and media because it shows, the way players are thinking. These are the types of conversations that players have amongst themselves as these big moments are happening throughout the league. But as much as I respect the concept of new media, of course, Draymond is going to have a different view of this than maybe the rest of the world does. First off, I don't think that anybody is really heavily criticizing Durant for wanting out here. They're not calling him weak. I'm certainly sure that the Nets fans are upset, but wanting to get away from the Kyrie Irving situation wouldn't be considered weak. I would actually say that is considered good business. When Draymond is referring to Kevin Durant being called weak, I think what he's talking about is what Durant was called when he came to Draymond Green's team, which Draymond, by the way, helped talk Kevin into. So Draymond doesn't want to be portrayed as somebody who helped somebody do something that was perceived as weak. So that's part of it for sure. The reality is that Draymond is correct that when you aren't talented enough at the top of your field, your contract tends not to matter. The top people in show business, the top people in entertainment, their contracts are over when they say that they're over. It's actually not very much like a business person. It's very different. A talent contract is very different than a business contract. So what Draymond is basically saying is that Kevin and he and other superstar NBA players want to have talent contracts where they're enormously highly paid, but want to have the flexibility that regular business doesn't have. And so that's what we're seeing play out here in the NBA. What I would say is that in the ultimate scheme of this, as we look back on it once we're a year or two away and we see how this plays out, we're going to always wonder why Kevin Durant extended his contract and why he was in this situation where he was in a 4-year deal. When he knows he has the power to do whatever he wants, why locking himself in, why he did that. Because one of the reasons we're still at a stalemate right now is because he's got 4 years left on that deal. If he only had 1 year, or if he was a free agent, which he had the option to be when he signed that extension last year, we'd be having a different conversation.
I think from my standpoint, when I ask myself this question, is it bad for the NBA? Is it bad for organizations? To be honest, yes, it is. But from a player's perspective, they have been able to take advantage of this entire situation. And here are a few examples of that. You look at Ben Simmons forcing his way out of Philadelphia, going to the Brooklyn Nets. You look at Anthony Davis forcing his way out of the New Orleans Pelicans and going to the Lakers. You look at James Harden, who's done it twice recently, forcing his way out of Houston and forcing his way out of Brooklyn to end up with the Philadelphia 76ers and Daryl Morey, who he's comfortable with. And then you look at Kyrie Irving when he was with the Cleveland Cavaliers, forcing his way out of there and ended up with the Boston Celtics. But I will say this. when you look at the NBA is ran by players, and that's why they're able to do this, right? It's ran by players. It's different from football, where we recently just seen it with a Deshaun Watson. And I say the quarterback position because that's the most high-powered position in football. You see a Deshaun Watson forcing himself out of Houston, and he just get a $230 million guaranteed deal with the Cleveland Browns. You see Aaron Rodgers do it football-wise, and basically had the Green Bay Packers. He held bird seeds in his hand and made the Green Bay Packers organization become the bird and eat the bird seeds out of his hand, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but in saying that, though, Wendy, and we know that negotiations are coming up with the CBA in the NBA, I think this is something that owners are going to bring to the table. I don't know if the NBA Players Association is going to allow it to happen, but this is something that's going to be brought up because we continuously see this over and over again from high-powered players. Are they going to put this to a stop? It's to be known.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.